Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do kind of a response video to Andrea over at AKB Bags um, and just talk about a video that she put up about 2 weeks ago. It's not really talking about her video, but it's definitely more just kind of thoughts that I had while watching her video. And she invited people to do kind of response videos. So I'm going to do that. Stay tuned. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel down below. Hit the notification bell right next to that so you don't miss any of my future content. Hit the like button for this video if you want to see more content like it. Okay, so Andrea brought up some really great thoughts and discussion points that I wanted to hit on. So I'm going to do my best to kind of keep my answers and responses to it kind of concise as I can be. I'm not a very concise person, but I want to do my best. So one of the things she talked about, and I do have some notes down here, so I'm going to be looking down and looking back up. But one of the things she talked about is, do you still get what you pay for when we're talking about the luxury community? Is quality still there? Is it still worth it to you? Are YouTubers being honest about quality and the use of their bags? As you guys know, I've been decluttering and really trying to keep my whole purse collection in check for the last 2 to 3 years. I definitely got, not only did I get like a mental check on why I'm purchasing things, but also a like spiritual check, if you will, because I mean, the Bible talks about where your treasure is, there your heart will also be. And I was finding that I was getting, this is so hard to say, as a reference to that verse, I was finding that I was starting to find my worth and my value in the bags that I was buying and that I owned, as if that if I carry these bags, people are going to think I'm more worthy of, I guess, their time and attention. But ultimately, I only care about God's view of me and my heart. And so I had to really get myself in check. But then also there was like an emotional piece to it when you're talking like ADHD and OCD and the dopamine hits that people are searching for, whether you have that or not. People, we tend to, without knowing it, get those dopamine hits, and then that is awesome. So we go to get that again. And I found that in buying and purchasing bags. So obviously you've seen that like my purchasing has slowed. I haven't shown you guys some of the stuff that I've purchased this year because I bought it, realized it wasn't for me, and sold it. So I just didn't make videos on that stuff. I really want this channel to become less about consumerism and more about intentionalism. And that's something that I've working on and trying to um, focus in on, and using what I have, loving what I have, not always searching for that next dopamine hit. So to go back to, do you still get what you pay for, and is quality still there? Is it still worth it to you? So if I'm answering that question, is it worth it to me? The purses like Louis Vuitton, Chanel, Hermes, all of these brands that are thousands and thousands of dollars, I don't think they're really worth it to me. They still wear down. My husband and I were having this conversation the other night, is they still wear down over time. And if you like sold your entire bag collection and just bought an Hermes bag, which, whichever one you buy, they are beautiful, but they're still just a leather bag. They don't have a lifetime guarantee to them. They're not going to consistently and constantly fix the leather as like holes get worn in them, because you do get wear on these bags. So if you sold your entire collection and got this one Hermes bag, that's amazing. But if you only have one bag and you're carrying it for an entire year, it's going to get that wear to it. And so in that, now you've got this, we'll say $20,000 bag on the resale market, that's what where you purchased it, and now it has all this wear. So now you're back to, you need a bag that doesn't have holes in it, right? And maybe that's a little an extreme example, but it still is the thing that I think of. So personally, I still want to have multiple bags, but these brands don't carry the worth to me anymore. If it does for you, that's awesome. I still think they're beautiful. I still think they're like, some of them art pieces, but as she mentioned, there's some crazy bags out there, bags shaped like dogs, shaped like different animals. The one she referenced was like a life-saving ring Chanel bag that like is thousands of dollars. Are you going to use that? I mean, I wouldn't. What I have learned about myself is that I'm definitely a black and brown and earth tone color bag gal, and that's what I carry. So when I buy these bags that are colorful or crazy, I don't find that I reach for them, and then when you go to sell them, you don't get your money back. Like, you just don't, typically. Not always, but typically. So I'm talking about the rule, not the exception, when I'm discussing this entire this entire video. YouTubers being honest about quality and use of their bags. I think that a lot of YouTubers think that they're being honest about the quality of the bags, but in reality, if they were actually using the bags, they would see the quality being that is diminishing. The customer service is no longer there with these brands. Overall, I sold all of my Louis Vuitton stuff. I did have the was it the compact zippy wallet that I thought I would never sell, and I did because I literally never reached for it. I use a rough and tumble phone bonbon, or I have a like small Tory Burch card case that I carry, because ultimately I'm looking at my wallet and I'm thinking, why am I carrying all this stuff around anyway? Right? I have a ton of stuff in this wallet that I never use. And so again, I'm getting to the nitty-gritty of, why do I have all this stuff? And this is just stuff that I'm carrying around every day. This is not even just purses. So for me, I think that YouTubers think they're being honest, most of them, about the quality and the use of their bags. I think though, when you're looking at somebody on YouTube who's discussing their bags and how great they wear and how wonderful they are, but you look and they have 100 bags, there's no way that they're carrying those bags enough to know the quality and to get the use out of every single one of those bags.
There's just no way.
Unless they're carrying multiple bags a day. If they're swapping their bags out and they're running around town doing whatever, like there's just no way. And I don't think that having 100 bags, I'm just throwing that out as a number, I don't think that's even like practical, really. On like truly, I have 20 or so bags, and I don't even think that's all that practical. I look at my bags constantly in the collection that I have, and I think, do I even need this many bags? The answer is no, I don't. But there's not one right now at this moment that I'm seeing that I'm not reaching for consistently and carrying. As soon as I notice that, I let it go. I just have had to get to a point to get real honest with myself of what I'm using and what I actually want to keep around, because it's not even just about the stuff, it's about taking care of the stuff, storing the stuff. You're going to lose money on the stuff when you do stuff. Like there's just so much more that goes into stuff than just having the stuff. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay, so consumerism was one of the next things that she talked about. And have I bought into consumerism, and am I part of the problem? And the answer for me, I know deep down, is yes, I did. And even just making YouTube, like she talked about, it lends to buying more and more and more because you want to have this consistent, fresh content for these videos, right? And that's how you were getting clicks. But I have noticed that not as many people are searching for, like, well, I guess I can back up and say, I'm not watching bag videos. If I'm watching a bag video, it's about somebody talking about their like minimalist bag collection, their minimalist luxury bag collection specifically, if that's something like, because I want to see what they narrowed it down to. I want to know how they got to saying, like, if I had to keep 5 bags, these would be the 5 bags. And this is an idea that I have that I'm going to do in a video later, is what 5 bags would I keep. Now, I only have rough and tumble bags at this point. Uh, I have one YSL bag, but again, like I haven't really carried it. So it's one of those bags that I'm wondering, do I keep it? Do I gift it to somebody? So it's one of those that's just kind of sitting there. It just sits. And I need to carry it because it actually is a very pretty bag, but I digress. Back to, there's this bag that I don't carry, and I know that I probably won't because I have other ones that I reach for more. What do I do with it now, right? And that's where you get to in stuff, is now I have all the stuff. What do I do with it? I feel kind of guilty about spending the money on getting it and then not carrying it. And so then, do I just donate it? Do I give it away? Do I try to get it authenticated and spend more money on this thing and then try to sell it? Because there's people aren't buying the way they were as well. And being a seller, I wish they would, but as a consumer and as a human who is like looking inward and figuring out what it is that I want out of life, consumerism isn't it. And so I'm really glad that people are stepping back from the consumerism. She also talked about, Andrea talked about, like, COVID. Did your spending ramp up during COVID? Absolutely it did. I mean, that was, we were all sad. It was scary. It was a lot going on. And one way we can kind of deal with that is by buying something and getting a happy dopamine hit when something shows up at our door. And a lot of times stuff would show up and I wouldn't even know what was in that Amazon box, or fashion file boxes I always knew because I was excited about that, but it became more fashion file buying. It became more rebag buying. It became more and more and more and more, right? And so I know that that absolutely did contribute to my purchasing and my purchasing getting crazy. I've never been in debt for a bag, thank God, but some people are. And as she talked about, like, I don't want to lend to somebody, like, justifying their purchase that they're going into debt for because this person had it and oh look, it's like it's the it bag, or it would just make my life whole, because it won't. It will not. I have yet to have a bag that will actually make my life whole. They are all just a means to carry stuff in. So they're all just bags. And guess what? I have what, 20 or so bags. I can't carry them all at one time. I just can't. And it's, I don't know, it's like my whole entire brain is just shifting to like, what am I even doing? Labels and logos on bags. I can't, like, my Louis Vuitton, I guess I've had Neverfulls that had the LVs all over it. Coach, I never really liked the C's all over everything. I don't know if it felt messy or if it just felt like too loud. I think is more, it felt too loud and like it was very like a casual look, and I wanted dresses that were gonna dresses. I wanted bags that were gonna elevate and step up my style. And to me, the Coach bags, especially with the C's all over them, were just not that for me. I do like the new Coach, like the quiet luxury thing that we've all talked about. And Andrea said, you know, that when this quiet luxury came out, like she really was like, no, I like my logos and I like my labels, and that's fine. Some people do. I just personally don't. Um, Even the LVs on the LV canvas started to feel really casual to me, and I really started leaning towards the Damier Ebene and the Damier Azur looks. However, the Damier Azur over time, like again, back to the quality and is it worth it? Damier Azur, it yellows over time and it looks to me gross and dirty, and I don't know why. I just personally don't love that. And I know some people who have had bags with that that print and it does look like that, but they don't care and they love it. They still love it. And so that's to each their own. The Damier Ebene print to me is one of the like most beautiful classic. I think it was the original print that was made by Louis Vuitton, and I just think it is so pretty. And it, more than anything else from Louis Vuitton, elevates, except for the empreinte leather. Those are really beautiful. But again, you're back to like the embossed LV logo, and I don't know, it's just not for me anymore. I can't never say never, right? Like never say never, but at this point in my life, I just don't see it. And I really hope that as like time goes on, I find more and more peace in not having brand names and not having logos all over and not having to carry these, you know, it bags or whatever, which I find less and less. And we are back in Dallas. Part of being in Michigan, like I didn't see that everywhere and it made it easier to like let it go. But now we're back in Dallas and I see them everywhere. And there really isn't a part of me that is like, ooh, I really want that. Now I did buy that one Louis Vuitton Speedy, the 25 and the, what is it, the epi leather. In the end, I think I did. I just gave into this like want for a Louis Vuitton purse, but it wasn't, I don't know, it just didn't work for me. I don't even know what I'm trying to say in that, but it's just not the right thing for me anymore. Andrea also talked about being in a no buy year, and I am right now in a self imposed no bag buy until the end of the year at minimum. I have challenged myself, and there have been a couple times that I've seen things, and it's mostly rough and tumble bags that I've seen things on the resale site, the buy sell trade groups or whatever. But I've seen these bags and I'm like, oh, I really want it. Well, I went to my husband and I said, hey, I know that this is like my fun money that I spend, but I want some accountability in this. I want to learn to say no. And so if there's something that I think is just so amazing, I'm going to come to you and I want you to challenge me in why I want this thing. And he was like, I mean, you can spend the money. And I said, it's not about the money. It's about this like thing within me that thinks that this next purse is going to fulfill, you know, who I am, or the love of, but this will be the last purse I ever have to buy. Okay. I think I've thought that about so many purses in the past. Like if I just get this purse, this will be the purse I just use to death. None of them. I've sold them all. And now I'm in rough and tumble purses and they're beautiful. But even rough and tumble, their customer service isn't always the best. The quality of the bags, I've seen more and more in buy sell trade. There's a lot of bags that are coming to the customer and they're wrong. They are also just leather bags. They will wear down over time, especially with more use. So you have to be like somewhat aware. However, the price point is much better at this point than like a Louis Vuitton or an Hermes or Chanel. And so you could probably afford to replace it if you use the same bag every day for the next 2 years and finally it just wore out, there's a hole in it. You could probably afford to buy another one easier than you could a Chanel or a Louis Vuitton. I'm not saying that like $200 to $600 isn't a lot of money because it is, and there is quite a range within those bags. And if you go on buy sell trade, you could probably find a much better deal for it. However, it's still money. It's still your hard earned money. What do you want that to go towards? Do you want it to go towards this thing? Now, if you use it all the time, right? For me, if I use something all the time, I know it brings my life value. So, yes, I would want to replace it. But if I don't use it all the time and I'm never reaching for it, why am I looking to replace these things in my life? Does this make sense? Do you guys struggle with the same stuff? And the last thing I want to talk about is Andrea talked about thrifting and how like the generation now doesn't care about brand names as much as like our generation, my generation growing up. And I don't have kids. I have a niece that's, around 10 and they don't care about it as much. But also, there are things that they do care about. Like you're talking about the hydro flasks. Like that was a thing that they all just had to have. Yeah, it wasn't a $500 purse, but it was a thing. Look at the Stanley craze. The Stanley craze is insane to me. I have had one and I didn't think it was anything special. So I gave it to a family member and let them have it because I just didn't see the value in it. I have Yetis, I have other brands, Arctic and the Simply Modern brands that work just as well for a fraction of the price. It just doesn't say Stanley on it, and I'm okay with that. Owala is a great brand. Hydrojug, a great brand. Also expensive though. Like these are expensive, but ultimately these are reusable water bottles. Like they're not supposed to be this thing that you have 40 million of. The point of them is to have one so that you can keep refilling it, not having 40 and one that matches every outfit. Does that, like, again, does that make sense? Because I still have more than one. We have a very limited amount. I only own 4 plates and 4 bowls. We have more silverware because we use silverware every day, 3 times a day, but that's what works for us. So, yes, kids today don't care as much about maybe like purse labels and like clothing labels, but there are definitely still things that they care about that have to have these like names on them. So it's not like totally stopped. Now thrifting was a thing that I've done my entire life. And it wasn't always about like money. It was more about I enjoy going thrifting. When we were in like middle school and high school, the trend was to wear t-shirts from thrift stores. So my mom was thrilled with that because at that time you could go and get t-shirts for like 25 cents a t-shirt. And if they were on sale, maybe 10 cents a t-shirt. Like it was such a good deal. And so I also now I know that when you go to a thrift store, you're not going and you're not going to necessarily find this exact thing that you wanted. But I know like there's like the thrill of the hunt of that. And that is something too that you find with purses. There's a thrill of finding the deal and on the exact bag that you want and then getting that bag sent to you. And it's just like, if it's for me, if it's not the like hunt of a bag, then there's the hunt of the perfect shirt or the perfect pants. And so I just have to like take note of that and really um, address why I'm feeling that. Typically, it goes to my anxiety or like something feels out of control for me. And I just have to address that. So, while I don't think the kids these days care as much about that for clothing, I think it's shifted to other things. Also, as like my niece gets older, will it shift into bags and clothes? Maybe. On top of that, like kids now are into such fast fashion, like the Shein and those brands that make like the cheapest clothing. I don't have anything against anybody who chooses to buy from these brands. I just personally will not, mostly because I know like what goes on in like these are people that created these things are taking advantage of other people, and not to mention they're such like cheap pieces of clothing. I just can't do it. I can't spend my money on these cheap pieces of clothing. But like I mentioned in my what I buy less of and what I buy more of video, I'm definitely looking for more like natural fiber clothing anyway. I even went to the thrift store a couple weeks ago, and while I was looking, I would find something and I would check the tag, and a lot of the things that I was drawn to were linen and cotton, some polyester. I do still buy from Amazon some shirts and stuff like that because I need to find that exact type of thing, and it could take me years to find it at a thrift store. And so I can find it on Amazon and it doesn't necessarily wholly match up with the fibers I'm looking for, but it works for the look that I'm needing it for, right? And so, all this to say, I think I'll always love handbags, but my buying is slowing down and has to continue to slowing down because it's not like it is not sustainable to continue buying. And so my YouTube channel might start to look different. I might start to, like I said, like go more towards this intentional type lifestyle, showing the styling of these bags, showing these different things. And then again, I may just slow down on YouTube videos as a whole. I don't know where this is going to take me, but this is a definite like life shift for me, and I don't know what it means for the future of my channel, quite frankly. But I have to stop searching for that next dopamine hit, and I have to enjoy what I have. I have to stop trying to make things work that won't work. So for me, I know I'll always love handbags. I can never say never about what I will and won't buy in the future. I have learned that because on this channel, I have said things in definitive ways, and then 6 months later, I'm buying whatever it is that I said I wouldn't buy, right? So for me, definitely think these luxury bags are lacking the quality. They're lacking the customer service. They're lacking the quality control that they used to have. I mean, even just Chanel. I was watching Caitlin Pulowski's video, and she was talking about how Chanel used to use gold hardware, and then they went to gold plated hardware, and now they even went away from that. They're doing gold tone hardware, but the prices keep increasing. Like, what is that? I can't with that. I cannot. I'm trying to think if I've owned a Chanel bag. I did purchase a wallet on chain one time, a Chanel bag, but I ended up sending it back because I didn't love it. Now I carried everything in my bag at that time. So okay. So this video has gone on way longer than I wanted it to, but these are just my rambling thoughts. That's all it is. My rambling thoughts on quality still there, consumerism, thrifting, etc. I hope I made any kind of sense in this video, and I will catch you guys next time. Bye.